Hi students, I am Dr. M. Ashraf Majroor, Professor of Community Medicine. I welcome you in the learning session of Association and Causation. This is the 11th session on epidemiology. The agenda of this session include recap of epidemiological investigation, outcomes and goal of epidemiology, association and cause, Hill's criteria for causal association, causal factor and causation model. Let's take agenda points one by one. If we talk about the epidemiological investigation, we have 10 sessions on epidemiological investigation. The epidemiological investigation starts with exploring the health related problems and then generation and testing the hypothesis, and the ultimate destination is to establish the cause. The steps which we have discussed up till now in descriptive epidemiology, exploring health problems, finding the frequency and distribution of health related states and events, using the data for health management, and developing the hypothesis from descriptive epidemiological data. Then we have discussed in detail the analytic epidemiology. In analytic epidemiology, testing hypotheses by observational and experimental studies and measuring the statistical associations and then testing the internal and external validity of the association which is established through analytic study designs. Now we will deal with the step how to establish the cause from the association. If we talk about the outcome of and goal of epidemiological investigation, although each step in epidemiology has its own individual scientific importance and utility, but the ultimate goal of epidemiology is to establish the etiology of disease and health impacts of drug and preventive actions. The important landmark as described in last slide, exploring the problem, developing and testing the hypothesis, establishing association and establishing cause. Out of these landmarks, exploring problem, developing and testing hypothesis and establishing association, these are discussed in previous sessions, and this session is meant for establishing the cause. So first we formally define and explain what is the association and cause. If we talk about the association, it is the relation between two or more variables, and this relation is established by analytic epidemiological studies. The relative risk, correlation, regression are the quantitative statistical measures of association. Association may be spurious, direct or indirect. Association may be causal or non-causal. So what is the cause? If we talk about the cause, if an independent variable say A leads to another variable B that is dependent variable, outcome or event or disease, it suggests the etiology of disease or health related event. So the cause suggests the etiology, and analytic studies measures the association, but the cause is established by systematic logical reasoning. So we will look into the systematic logical reasoning, and we will also study how we can extract the cause from the association. If we look at the association is the relation between the independent and dependent variables, and whether it is causal or not causal, it has to be filtered through fallacies are filtered, and then we can establish the cause. What are these fallacies? The association may be due to chance or random error. Association may be due to bias or systematic error. Or association may be spurious due to the non-causal, due to the confounding factors. So let's see how we can filter out the fallacies from the causation relationship. So first we have to rule out the role of chance. For rule out the role of chance, we have to take the adequate and representative sample for analytic research. On the other hand, if we have to rule out these biases, then we have to take appropriate study designs. And the confounding factors are dealt with the stratified analysis. And how we establish, then there is logical judgmental process. And this is criteria suggested by Hill, and we will discuss the Hill's criteria for establishing the cause. So Austin Bradford Hill in 1965 suggested the criteria for establishing the cause from the association. So what are these criteria? Is the temporal association between the for the causal relationship, and biological plausibility, consistency of the finding, strength of association, dose-response relationship, reversibility, study designs, and judging the evidence. So we will discuss these criteria, Hill's criteria, one by one. And first is the temporal association. The temporal association, this is the first criteria of causal association. The temporal association will resolve the question, does the cause precede the effect? So for causal association, cause must precede the effect. And what are the deliberation on this temporal association? The temporal association is established through cohort and experimental studies. Cross-sectional and case control studies are not appropriate designs to establish the temporal association. Temporal association is easy to establish in diseases of short latent or short incubation periods. The temporal association is an essential criteria of causal association. And the next criteria is the biological plausibility. The biological plausibility will answer the question, does the association make biological sense? And in other words, the causal interpretation must fit with known facts of natural history of and pathophysiological events of the disease process, including distribution in time and space and laboratory experiments. So what are the important deliberation on biological plausibility? The extensive literature review and pathophysiology is required. Logical, inductive and deductive reasoning to explain the natural course of the disease and pathophysiology. The associations agree with the current accepted understanding of pathological process are essential to establish the biological plausibility. If we talk about the biological plausibility, there is an example of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease with smoking. If we talk about this process, the cigarette smoking release the biomass particles and substances, and these substances amplify the host factor mechanism, and lung inflammation is there, and then and the antioxidants are released, and there is oxidative stress that leads to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And on the other hand, antiproteinases are released, and the proteinases are released from the through lung inflammation, and repair mechanism is triggered. And through this repair mechanism, there is a fibrosis of the lung, and COPD is established. So this is the example of biological plausibility. That means the process is explained on the pathophysiological basis of the disease. The third criteria of Hill's criteria is the consistency. Consistency will establish by resolving the question, has the cause and effect relationship been identified by a number of different researches? And in other words, the association can be considered as causal if the cause and effect relationship is established by a number of different studies. The finding must be validated and consistent in different circumstances and study settings. And important deliberation on consistency are the multiple studies may have the common biases, and the finding may be vary across the studies due to effect modification and confoundings. However, the consistency of the finding is an essential criteria for accepting the causal association. So this was the third Hill's criteria. Now, fourth Hill's criteria is the strength of association. The stronger the association, more likely to be the causal association. And in other words, the risk ratio RR is the direct measure of the strength of association. RR1 mean no association, and RR2 are less than 0.5 may be the causal association. The important deliberation on the strength of association for smoking and lung cancer, relative risk is 18. That means stronger association. And for smoking and coronary heart disease, RR is 2. That means there is weaker association. However, it can't be inferred that weak association is not causal. The association is measured in quantitative statistical terms and can be translated into qualitative stratifications. Let's see the qualitative stratification of the association. The association from 1.3 is considered as weak, and 1.4 to 1.7 is modest, and 1.8 to 3 is moderate, and 3 to 8 is stronger, and 8 to 16 is very strong, and 16 to 40 is dramatic, and more than 40 is overwhelming. And if we see the daily cigarette smoke, if we look at the strength of association, if cigarette smoking is 1 to 14 per day, then the association is 6.8, and for 15 to 24 it is 12.3, and more than 25 it is 23. We see that the number of cigarette smoke is increased. On the other hand, the strength of association is increased, and strength of association is suggestive of the causal association. Hill's criteria 5 is the dose-response relationship. As the level of exposure is increased, the rate of disease is also increased. This is called the dose-response relationship. The important deliberation, the presence of dose-response relationship is strong evidence of causal association. However, absence of dose-response relationship does not rule out the probability of causal relationship, because the different causal factors have different thresholds, and sometimes the threshold may not be reached to establish the dose-response relationship. If we look at the example of a dose-response relationship, the risk of developing lung cancer is directly related to amount of smoke. If we look at the packs of per year smoking, less than 30, 30 to 60 and more than 60, the dose-response relationship indicates that more the dose, the stronger will be the association. This suggests the dose-response relationship. And the risk ratio is increased with the number of packs of cigarette. So this is the dose-response relationship. Hill's criteria 6 is the reversibility, that means cessation effect. When the removal of possible cause result in a reduced risk of disease, the likelihood association of being causal is strengthened. The cessation of smoking will lead to reduction of risk of lung cancer. However, absence of reversibility does not rule out the causal relationship. If we see the example of reversibility, the relative likelihood ratio of developing of lung cancer is markedly reduced with the reduction in cigarette smoking. Here we see the heavy smoker and these are the reducer. The likelihood ratio is reduced from 1 to 0.73 and in quitters it is further reduced to 0.5. Then it is 0.44 in light smokers, and in ex-smokers it is further reduced, and in non-smokers as compared to. This is the reversibility when the quitting or reduction in smoking is done. So this is the evidence of causal association. Another example of reversibility is in Iowa Women Health Study, and the risk of lung cancer decline with increased reduction of abstinence from smoking. And these are the years of abstinence. As the years of abstinence are increased, the reversibility is increased. So the reversibility is the more sure criteria for establishing the causal association. Then Hill's criteria 7 is this robust study designs. Has the effect been demonstrated using robust study design? So the study design in order of usefulness, randomized controlled trials and cohort studies, the opportunity to minimize the bias. But in case control studies, they are subject to biases. Cross-sectional studies are not useful because they provide no direct evidence of time and the sequence of events. And the appropriate study design is essential for evidence of causal association. And if we talk about the Hill's criteria 8, judging the evidence, no set of criteria replaces the judgment in causal inferences. Causal inference less certain than the logical conclusion. And the important deliberation, no hard and fast rules. Correct temporal relation is essential. Once the temporal relation is established, consider firstly the plausibility and then consistency and dose-response relationship. The Hills himself have the viewpoint. None of my viewpoint can bring indisputable evidence for or against the cause and effect hypothesis, and none can be regarded as sine qua non. And this was stated by Hills in 1965. Now, nature of the factors. The factor may be necessary and sufficient, and the factor may be necessary but not sufficient. Then sufficient but not necessary. then neither sufficient nor necessary. Let's see the nature of causal factors. Causal factor necessary and sufficient. This is the factor necessary and sufficient to cause the disease. Presence of factor is always lead to disease causation. There is a one-to-one relationship. Whenever factor is present, it will cause the disease. The example is measles virus. Infection with measles virus leads to measles. Then factor is necessary but not sufficient. In this case, factor necessary but not itself sufficient to cause the disease. Multiple factors synergize the disease process. Each factor is a risk factor. Factor A plus factor B plus factor C, they will cause the disease. The example is the tuberculosis, risk factor for tuberculosis, the TB bacilli, the malnutrition, and the host defense mechanism through vaccination. These are the factors, and they collectively will lead to cause the disease. So the factor necessary but not sufficient. The other is the multiple independent causal factors, sufficient but not necessary. Factor alone can produce the disease, but so can do the other factor. Either radiation or benzene or genetic mutations can produce the leukemia. If we see factor A or factor B or factor C, they will lead to disease. The example is radiation, genetic mutation, and chemicals. They may lead to the cancers. Lastly, there is a complex web of causation model, and in this case, neither the factor is sufficient nor necessary. In this case, a factor itself neither sufficient nor necessary to produce the disease, and there is a complex web causation model for chronic diseases. Factor A plus factor B or factor C plus factor D or factor E plus factor F, they can cause the disease, and this is the example of hypertension, diabetes, IHD, and cancers. So this is the complex nature of the disease causation model. As a conclusion, the ultimate goal of epidemiology is to establish the etiology of health-related states and events. Epidemiological study only establish the association that may be spurious, indirect or direct. Logical criticism approach is applied to establish the cause and etiology. Temporal association, dose-response relationship, consistency of findings, reversibility, and biological plausibility are essential criterion for causal association. So, thank you very much for sparing your precious time. We will continue with epidemiology in the next session.